Onto more mediation efforts across the globe. On Friday, Palestinian Authority leader Mahmoud Abbas wrapped up a strategic visit to China. The PA head was seeking economic aid and voicing support for Beijing's repressive policies toward Muslim minorities in the northwestern region of Xinjiang. China has campaigned furiously to counter the outside criticism over its detention of more than 1 million Uyghurs, Kazakhs and other Muslim minorities in prison-like detention centers on little or no legal grounds. In the competition for resources and markets, Arab states have almost never openly expressed concern over Beijing's treatment of Muslims. But perhaps that's because there is a bigger diplomatic game at play here. One that many say Abbas is carefully maneuvering to try and coerce Beijing to mediate a possible peace with Israel, as they are detaching more and more from the United States and their ability to do the same. Palestinian ministers say they believe that China can use billions in trade as leverage to coax Jerusalem to come to the table, as Washington's influence on the global stage seems to be waning. And with me now to understand this in more detail from New York is Carice Witte, the founder and executive director of Signal, the Sino-Israel Global Network and Academic Leadership. Carice, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Mind you, this is fresh of brokering the restoration of ties between regional rivals Iran and Saudi Arabia. Could they actually do it? Could China actually take on the impossible deal, as US President or former US President Donald Trump once called it, peace between Israel and the Palestinians?
It's a surprise question for most of the world because that's not the role that China traditionally plays. We all know that's the US role. But as you noted, there is a ceding of space in the Middle East by the U.S., both perceptually and also practically. The U.S. hasn't yet made it clear what its new role wants to be in the region, if it's an offshore balancer, if it's an economic role. So China is moving in. It was said that Abbas is trying to coerce China. China cannot be coerced, certainly not by the Palestinian Authority or any other set of smaller middle powers. China is taking great steps in the Middle East regarding diplomacy since it was able to broker the Saudi-Iran deal that put wind in the sails of both Iran and China. China picked up the phone to our foreign minister of Israel and also of the Palestinian Authority and offered this new step. But they've been talking about how to be a broker for peace between Israel and the Palestinians for many years. It has not come to anything. China does not have leverage over Israel. The U.S. is clearly the strongest and most important ally of Israel and will remain so. The question will be, will the Palestinians receive any benefits in this process? I read that one offer is to set up a solar plant for the Palestinian Authority as one of the benefits of this meeting. However, the Chinese have been trying to set up that power plant for the past 7 years, and were not able to manage the negotiations between the Israeli and Palestinian side to make it happen. So what will be the actual bottom line from this? Looks like mainly diplomatic pressure on Israel, a statement about the U.S. and its diminishing position in the Middle East, and gets more spotlight for Abbas for the next period of time.
And speaking of diplomacy, what happens now then to this new committee set up by the U.S. to continue with the success of the Abraham Accords? Does it now face competition? You said that China doesn't necessarily have any leverage over Israel in the way that the United States might have. But let's not forget, a major economic power. Is economy and politics somehow intertwined here, or are they two separate entities in its entirety?
The pressure from China is somewhat indirect for the Abraham Accords. As China conducts more and more advanced technology cooperation with Israel's Abraham Accord partners, there will be more hesitance by Israel to conduct its advanced tech programs with, for example, the UAE, out of concerns of potential possible tech transfer from UAE, Israel UAE to China. This could cause a limit in the fruits of the Abraham Accords for Israel, at least in the short term. And then diplomatically, with Assad returning to the Arab League, Iran gaining more force in the region with those Chinese tailwinds, this puts more pressure on Israel from a different angle. It's indirect from China, but definitely China does play a role.
Absolutely, and while there's no doubt that economies have influence across the globe on domestic politics, on foreign politics, there is no doubt that diplomacy and hardcore international policies are definitely the name of the game, especially when it comes to this. Carice, Witte, the founder and executive director of Signal, the Sino-Israel Global Network and Academic Leadership, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.